Game time, we diving deep. From the stairs to the play, no time for sleep. Below the surface, we're working, we set the scene. Who's your host? Scott Levine. Below the surface.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Below the Surface. I'm Scott, your host, and this is where stats meet strategy. It's been a couple weeks since I've been behind the mic, and I'm fired up, and we got a jam-packed show today. I was a little devastated after the Broncos loss, and I've been in a rut for a little bit, but yeah, glad to be back. And then big news in the NFL this week. The NFL trade deadline was absolute chaos, and we're going to talk about it. So yeah, we'll cover those blockbuster trades, some stats, a few numbers that'll make you look twice at your lineup, and all this crazy research that I've done into some fun, unique stats for all 32 teams. So here's how the episode's going to flow. I got my brother Matt here today, and I'm going to hit Matt with one fun or unique stat from every single team, and he's going to give his quick take or gut reaction, whether it's surface hype or worth diving in. And then at the end, we'll talk about our biggest takeaways going forward for each team. And with that said, this is episode 15, so let's get right into it. All right, let's start with the trade deadline, Matt. The first news we got actually was the Jaguars going after a need because of injury, acquiring Jakobi Meyers for a 4th and a 6th round pick. What do you think about Jakobi Meyers to the Jags?
Yeah, my alarm bells immediately went up that Brian Thomas' ankle injury might be keeping him out a week or more. Big opportunity for my guy, PPR Parker Washington. He's filling into my lineup due to some injuries I've had over the season. He's been Trevor Lawrence's guy all season, and Liam Cohen said he's keeping his slot role. It's easier for Myers to pick up those boundary reps instead. So Parker Washington, another full go start for him somehow. Myers could benefit long term.
Good week last week for Parker, yeah, for sure. And then we had another wide receiver on the move as well. This was the Seattle Seahawks acquiring Rashid Shaheed, which makes you think that Cooper Kupp might be battling something right now. And that was for a 4th and a 5th round pick. What do you think that Shaheed can add to this Seahawks offense?
Yeah, I like this move a lot for them. I think I'm higher on Shaheed. I know you're not. I don't know about real football, but yeah, Cooper Kupp. I think he just might be bad, and I think this is a really nice dimension to add for the Seahawks offense. You had Torrey Horton, but Shaheed is a legit deep threat in this league, in my opinion, and Darnold has a good deep ball, so I think that could be a good connection. And this Seahawks team's already been dangerous, so I think that's a sneaky, really good pickup for them.
And then we got the not sneaky, honestly, the biggest trade goers on the day, the Jets, with some blockbuster moves, trading away 2 of their star defensive players. I know this is a fantasy football show, but these guys are big enough to get mentioned, and they traded away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, both away. They acquired 3 first-round picks for those 2 players and a second, and as well as an additional 2 players. So it was a really big haul, and the Jets just completely hit the full reset button. Matt, I know you've been interning with the Jets this year. How do you think this move affects this team going forward?
Obviously, they're in full rebuild mode, and we're really not going to see how this trade pays off for them for a couple years to come. So the bigger storyline for me is the Colts.
Absolutely.
Their front office believes that this is a Super Bowl caliber team. They're 7-2 thus far, and Daniel Jones has been pretty solid up until last game, so they're thinking that's just a blip on the radar. You get an elite cornerback in Sauce Gardner, which they hope he's still an elite cornerback. I still think he's a really good player, and that's been a need for them. So you got a good defense. You got Jonathan Taylor. It's been a weaker NFL as a whole this year, I feel like. So they're taking a swing, and I respect it.
Yeah, the Colts definitely biggest move. 2 firsts for a cornerback. Definitely going all in. It makes you think that they completely believe in Daniel Jones. And it's all riding on him going forward now. And quickly for the Cowboys, Quinnen Williams, it's just a really weird move, especially after trading away a defensive player who's younger and better in Micah earlier in the season. And then lastly, I just want to quickly comment on the Eagles making two pretty big defensive moves, adding Jaire Alexander and Jaelen Phillips. And Jaire's not been good at all the last 2 seasons, but Jaelen Phillips is a really solid player. And that was for a 6th and a 3rd round pick, respectively.
Yeah, just to touch on the Quinnen part, just keep cooking, Jerry. Just switching basically like all your Micah Parsons haul to get Quinnen Williams. It's at a least valuable position, an older and worse player. He is really good, but that's fine with me as a Giants fan if you're swapping Micah Parsons for Quinnen Williams.
Absolutely. Quinnen's ceiling is not even close to Micah, in my opinion. Let's just get right into it. I did a lot of research on all 32 teams, trying to come up with some fun, unique, interesting ways to look at things and stats to share with Matt so I can get his takes and bounce off of him. So
I'm ready to see what you got cooked up.
Yes, sir. So we're going to start with the AFC North. And the first team I'll get right into is the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, he's had 2 4-touchdown passing games in back-to-back seasons. And in this season, he's already at 14 passing touchdowns in 5 games, on pace for 47.5 touchdowns through 17 games. All right, Matt. What are your thoughts on Lamar's crazy touchdown passing the last 2 seasons and his incredible growth as a passer?
Yeah, this is more of the same of Lamar we've grown to know. He's really, as good as he is as a rusher, he hasn't really leaned into that part of his game as much these past couple seasons. It's really just been him slinging the rock, high touchdown totals, and just low yards, high touchdowns, very efficient, uses his legs when he has to, but yeah, that's just more of the same for Lamar. The Ravens is obviously a huge storyline going forward if their season, but for fantasy, Absolutely. He's obviously going to be locked and loaded because they're going to need to win every single week. But yeah, every game is basically do or die for them, and I think they know that, but it's going to be tough with like that. The Chiefs are out of the playoffs right now, so it's not like they're competing against nobody right now.
Yeah. It really is just so impressive how Lamar is able to grow as a passer and hit those high touchdown totals. He's done it dating back to his MVP season where he had 35 plus and has had 40 plus in this league. So it's just so impressive to see as a guy as good as he is on the ground to do what he does through the air.
Yeah, like I feel like people are asking like how he's going to last in the league, and not like he's deceiving the defense, but I feel like he just keeps the running in his back pocket and he just uses it more as a threat to open up the passing game and make things easy for himself so he doesn't have to make those tight window throws because the defense just has to play you differently, and now especially with Derrick Henry. So I feel like he just uses the threat of the run to just open the offense and keep himself clean.
Absolutely. He doesn't take many hits either, yeah. And the next stat I have for you here is Derrick Henry. He's had 3 straight games of 20 touches after 0 through the first 5 games. And also, I just want to keep on the low. If anything happens to Henry, it's Keaton Mitchell's the back I like.
Yeah, I like Keaton Mitchell too.
What do you think about the change in philosophy with Henry getting so much work recently?
Lamar is slowly working his way back, and they've been winning these last 2 games, so it makes sense to lean on Henry. When they're up, they're going to go to Henry.
And for those who were saying that he might be washed, or him and Saquon might be washed, Henry looks like he's coming along again and could have been a good buy low. I thought he was a decent buy low candidate. All right, let's get into our next AFC North team, and that's the Bengals. And they have some pretty juicy stats, both on the offensive side of the balls with their wide receivers here. I'm going to start with Jamar Chase and his unbelievable season and 3-game stretch. Jamar Chase, he has 72 targets in a 5-game span, and he's currently averaging 14.5 targets per game, on pace for 200 plus targets this season. And in 3 games with Joe Flacco, Chase's averages are a 39% target share. He's averaging 16.5 targets, 11.5 catches, 120 yards, and 0.3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase has made his name shown back once Jake Browning is gone. So what does this Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase connection mean?
I mean, it just means Jamar Chase is going to keep doing his thing. I honestly have no idea to make up the Bengals situation and who gets how much credit. Does Zach Taylor get any credit for this? Because I feel like he always gets hate when like the offense is struggling, but now you just plug in. But like at the same time, it's hard not to just give all the credit to the receivers, but then how does that reflect on Joe Burrow? So it's just a very interesting give and take scenario because Jake Browning was atrocious, but he had a stint where he wasn't terrible, and now Flacco just came in and has been like unbelievable. And yeah, he loves Jamar Chase so much. That first game was ridiculous. The second game as well, T. Higgins got 2 targets, which is outrageous in my opinion, but it's just because he loves the dump offs to Chase Brown too, but he loves Jamar Chase so much.
72 targets in a 5
The way he just talks about them in every interview or like that.
Yeah, it's
like
crazy. And T. Higgins, he was the other guy I researched, and he had not seen over 8 targets or 65 plus yards once all 2025 before Joe Flacco took over as quarterback, and now he's done that in 2 of 3 weeks with Joe Flacco, and he's also had 4 touchdowns in 3 games with Joe Flacco.
We know T. Higgins is that guy. Like, you just throw the ball up to him. That man goes up. That Moss last week, like, that's T. Higgins does that more than anyone other player. Just pluck it.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's so good. They have had some incredibly horrible losses.
Yeah.
39, 38, and 47, 42. Yeah.
You got to score 40 points to win. It helps. Jamar Chase is going to get a lot of targets in those games.
But like you've heard in this quick little talk about the Bengals, fire up your Bengals wide receivers, man. With Joe Flacco, they're just elite and need to be played. Obviously, you were playing them anyway, but you were a little bit worried in that stretch with Browning.
You were terrified. I bought for T. Higgins during that stretch, hoping they were going to make a change, and it's blessed me. I mean, Devontae Smith, it was a 1-for-1 swap. They both honestly turned up post that trade, but
they've both been good.
I'm happy to have T. Higgins' side of it.
Absolutely. Now let's move into the Cleveland Browns. And the first guy that I want to talk about here is Quinnen Judkins. And in my research on him, I found that he's currently top 12 in rushing yards per game while dealing with a rookie quarterback. And despite missing a game coming into the year due to legal battles and missing the entire offseason, this team runs through Quinnen Judkins 20 opportunities in 4 of 7 games this season.
Yeah, this guy's one of the reasons fantasy's so tough. Just all this offseason baggage, but he's just such a good player. As soon as he gets on the field, he's just been dominant ever since then. The offense, and there's not much in there. There's Jerry Jeudy, Harold Fandon. There's not much to focus on besides him, and he's still been able to get it done. It's been a really impressive day. He's one of the few rookie RBs that's actually popped so far.
Yeah, he really is popped. 3 touchdown game he's had against the Dolphins. He was a major factor in 2 of their wins, and 2 of their only wins. Yeah. Their only 2 wins. He was a major factor. And the next guy is also a rookie on this team. Harold Fandon, rookie tight end, leads the Brown in receiving yards and touchdowns, and that is what he does. He led Bowling Green in catches and touchdowns back-to-back seasons, and he led the entire FBS in receptions and yards his final year with 117 catches, 55 receiving yards, and 10 receiving touchdowns. Harold Fandon broken out as another big tight end on the scene this rookie class.
Yeah, this tight end rookie class has been special, and he's been a part of that. I like the talent profile coming out. I mean, he did nothing but produce, and he's a physical specimen. It was just, was the level going to translate? And it's not going to the greatest situation at rookie tight ends. And despite all that, he's just done nothing but produce. I've been really impressed.
Yeah. What's your biggest takeaway for this Browns team moving forward, or potentially even next year?
We got to see Jaire Sanders, baby. What's holding us back at this point?
Yeah.
Got Noodle Arm, Dillian Gabriel. Just spice it out. Let us see him so he could either live it up or burn. Yeah,
perfect timing.
Yeah. What do you got to lose?
So, yeah, hopefully he gets his chance. Jaire Sanders. All right, and the last team in the AFC North, our first division here. The first guy I'm going to start with is their quarterback, newly acquired this season, Aaron Rodgers. And he's failed to clear 250 passing yards once this season. This was something he did 4 of his final 5 games with the Jets. Yet his touchdown rate, same as his MVP season in 2021, 7%. And he also has the most Steelers passing touchdowns already since Ben Roethlisberger with 17 through 9 games. Unbelievable with Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson over those few years. What do you think about this new quarterback play and Aaron Rodgers as a whole as the quarterback going forward for this season?
I mean, it's a pretty pedestrian offense. I honestly thought they might address things because their receiver room is so thin with Roman Wilson and Calvin. Their tight end room has been solid with the 3 guys. They somehow used Darnell Washington like a good amount. It's just like this big guy, like just what he used, just box out guy and get it to him.
Yeah, that's really funny. I might as well just go into my next point because my next stat that I researched up was they're the only team with 3 tight ends with 20 targets and a touchdown, and also the only team with 4 tight ends to have a touchdown. Yeah. Connor Hayward.
Yeah, Connor Hayward. Yeah, they're just using every guy's skill set in a different role, and it's somehow like putting together
Arthur Smith.
Yeah, he loves the tight end.
He loves the tight end. And Pat Freiermuth, he's had some big games. They've all had moments.
He's got 5 touchdowns himself, so he's holding
it. 17 for Rodgers is pretty impressive numbers for an old fella. All right, that wraps up the AFC North, so let's go right into the South. And that'll take us to the Tennessee Titans. And the first guy I'm going to start with is rookie wide receiver Alec Ayamanor, who's currently the leading target earner for the Titans, and he's third in yards among rookie wide receivers. And in this past week 9, he just saw a 40% first read target share, and he leads them in first read target shares over the last 3 weeks, and has also been used all over the formation, not just out wide. They've been moving him around to the slot a bit this year too. I know Calvin Ridley has been out, so that's given him the biggest boost, but what are your takeaways on Alec Ayamanor?
Yeah, Calvin Ridley's been out, and when you're saying this, I was like, he's getting all, because he just really hasn't been producing much of them. I know the offense has been struggling. Yeah. It's just like
the offense hasn't been great.
Yeah, but there's
Tamir Adike, their other rookie, has been solid as well.
He's honestly impressed me more of late, just making more splash plays. I mean, oh man, he had a good start to the season, but he really hasn't been able to produce much. It's just
he's got a good target share,
and he's got a good target share, but that's pretty much all you're hanging your hat on at this point.
Yeah, definitely. It's not been like the most productive yet, but he's been looking his way.
Yeah.
And then the next players that I researched were the backfield, Tony Pollard and Tajay. Since his first game back, over these last 4 weeks, Tajay Spears, because he came into this year injured,
yes, sir.
He's actually out-targeted Tony Pollard 14-12 and has out-caught him 13-10 over these last 4 weeks. In the receiving game, he's been getting more involved in that role and just eating into Tony Pollard's role, who hasn't been great this year. So what are your takeaways on Spears-Pollard backfield?
Little mini victory lap here. Tajay Spears was my guy in this backfield. I thought at the value, I thought it was going to be a 50-50 split at minimum, and Tajay was just going later. He obviously gets hurt because that man can't avoid injuries for his life. Yeah. Tony Pollard been pretty bad all season.
I liked him, man.
Yeah, so he's been giving some life to the Titans offense when many people have not been able to do that.
Yeah, maybe he can help Cam Ward finally get going. All right, let's move into a team that's been doing a little bit better than the Titans, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. And let's start with the man of the hour, the guy who currently leads the NFL in passing yards, Daniel Jones. But interesting enough, is outside the top 20 in rushing yards. Daniel Jones, he has his least amount of rushing attempts since his rookie year. 3.7 attempts per game this season. The last 3 seasons, he was at 7 rushes per game. So completely changed his style, leading the league in passing yards. What are your takeaways on Daniel Jones in this Colts offense?
Danny's been impressive outside of last game. That's interesting that he's not running the ball as much. He's been banged up a bunch throughout his career. I wonder if that is any factor. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor has just been absolutely dominant, so you don't even need Danny in the run game right now. I feel like he was cooking a little bit, at least in the touchdown department at the beginning of the season, but I think he's cooled off even in that part. But yeah,
he ran one last week, I believe.
He's basically just been slinging it.
He's just been slinging it.
Last week was an outlier, but I didn't realize how much work Alec Pierce had gotten. He had 10 targets, 113 yards. So Danny's just been spreading it around.
He really has been. And interesting, I was looking through it. Russell Wilson, more rushing yards than Daniel Jones.
That's great.
Or rushing attempts, one of the two. It was crazy to me. I was like, really? And the next stat I have for the Colts was Michael Pittman has already tied his career high in touchdowns with 6. That matches his total from 2021, and he's done it in 8 less games. And then in every game he scored, he's had at least 5 receptions as well. Really productive season for Michael Pittman lately, especially. He just came off another 100-yard game, not even getting a touchdown last week. What are your thoughts on this incredible productive year for him?
Yeah, Michael Pittman is one of those true sleepers in fantasy. I don't recall anyone being on him. I feel like most people are on Josh Downs, and then just question marks about Tyler Warren as well, and then question marks about the passing offense. But the passing offense has obviously over-delivered so much, and Michael Pittman just a touchdown machine for the first time in his career. So if he's going to keep ending, even last week he cooked without the touchdown, but Daniel Jones threw the ball like 50 times, so that was also like an outlier game. Yeah. He was like a little up and down to start the season. Like he was still really impressive, and then he strung together back-to-back weeks against 2 terrible defenses, and then he had this last week against the Steelers, who is not a good defense, but the turnovers just put the game script in such a weird spot that they had to pass so much.
For sure. There were so many turnovers and they had to pass so much. I will say, Josh Downs, he's also been solid recently, too.
So like Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce. They all look pretty good in this Colts offense right now.
Yeah, it's wild.
All right. Let's move into the Houston Texans. And the first stat I pulled is actually our first defensive stat, and it's because this defense is just one of the most incredible units I've seen this entire season for sure. They've allowed over 20 points just once all season, and the fewest total points allowed, and the Texans are 3-5. So what's your takeaway on that? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, The offense is just dreadful. Like,
The offense, man.
it's mostly the offensive line. They don't have great weapons anywhere outside of Nico Collins, and he's been even a little disappointing this year. He got banged up early, and
He's got banged up. Christian Kirk been banged
Yeah.
up. Joe Mixon, they lost before the year even started.
I don't even know. The offense just fell apart from what it was that year with CJ Stroud.
His rookie season.
Mixon was good last year, but you don't have him.
It's a big loss. Woody Marks and Nick Chubb haven't quite been able to replicate
give you anything,
close to
really.
Joe Mixon's production from last year. Anything close. And the next stat I actually researched was dealing with Christian Kirk, their offseason acquisition. He's averaging 6 targets a game in his 4 starts, but he's only played 4 games. And it's really crazy that he has more targets than both Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, who they took in the draft, who have played all 8 games this season. He has more targets than both of them. He's 24 to their 22 and 20. Really, you hate to see it. No production from any of their draft picks.
Jalen Noel clearly doesn't have a lot of production, but at least he looked decent on the field.
He looked good.
Jaden Higgins, I haven't been impressed with at all. And yeah, Christian Kirk, I don't even recall him playing. So to see him, he have more targets than them is kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's actually been really solid when he's been on the field. I mean, not incredible yards production, decent targets every game. As I said, he has 24 and 4 starts, so that's 6 per game, which is just insane. And then this offense just needs someone else to step up. Xavier Hutchinson has 29 targets.
I mean, Stroud's out this week after getting drilled. I don't think anyone is stepping up. I think this is a lost season for the Texans.
This is for sure a lost season.
The division is the best it's been. I mean, not the Titans, but you got 2 playoff teams in the division. Usually it's just one that makes it.
Exactly. So tough season for the Texans. And the takeaways are just, this is a season that we just got to throw away.
Yeah. Got to rework that offensive line next year.
Yeah, we'll see if CJ Stroud can finally get back to his rookie year self with some protection. All right, let's get into the Jacksonville Jaguars now. Team that's overperformed this year. But Trevor Lawrence, he's yet to throw for 300 yards this season. And that's something he's done multiple times every year of his career. He has lost De'Ami Brown and Brenton Strange for multiple weeks, and he just lost Travis Hunter to the IR. But what do you think your takeaways for Trevor Lawrence struggling in this Liam Cohen new offense?
It's just depressing. I thought they would be good. Brian Thomas. It's got to be Shane Waldron. I blame him. He's some role on this offense. I think he's the passing coordinator or something. So I don't even know. Brian Thomas just a complete disappointment from last year. So maybe you pinpointed that. But obviously Lawrence has got to eat a lot of that blame. Yeah. Hunter gets going for one game and then get a practice injury. It's just not been the Liam Cohen offense that I thought we were going to be getting, and Trevor Lawrence is running out of excuses.
But despite that, I believe they're 5-3.
Yeah, they're winning, but mostly on the back of their defense.
So it's been interesting to see.
He does have a good connection with Parker, though. I'll give it up.
And the next research I actually did was Parker Washington.
Yeah, how could it not be?
Of course. Without Travis Hunter, Parker Washington had a career-high 8 catches and has seen 9 or more targets in 3 games this season. This is now his 7th game with 50-plus receiving yards in his career. So shout out Parker Washington. What's your takeaways for the little slot magician there?
Yeah, I shouted him out earlier. I'm impressed that I see he literally had 2 illegal formation passes, so he was eating even more than that.
Could have had 100
yards.
Yeah,
when Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter were on the field, Trevor loved him, so I expected him to just be a target magnet without them. And they run 2 personnel, 2 wide receiver personnel. He was out there every single time. I was just like, he's going to get fed. Like, they love him. Trevor loves him.
Yeah.
I wasn't even really worried about the Meyers trade, and then they just confirmed it with the reports.
Yeah, we'll see how Jakobi Meyers can fit in this offense for sure. And that wraps up our AFC South. So let's move right into our AFC East, Matt. And we'll start here with the Dolphins, who've had maybe, is this a season from hell?
I mean, I feel like a lot of Dolphins were expecting this, honestly. So
yeah, maybe. Hill, gone for a year. Waller's already out again. Yeah, he was 4 touchdowns, but this team just can't get right, and they just traded away one of their better players, kind of hitting the reset button.
I don't
but
think it's been that good this year, though.
Yeah,
coming off the injury.
Yeah, we'll see how productive he can be on a better team.
Yeah.
The stats that I want to dive into here, we'll start with Jalen Waddle. He's had 6+ targets in all but one game since Hill's trade, and he's tied for his touchdown high over the last 3 seasons already, with 4 in just 9 games. How do you feel Waddle has stepped into this wide receiver 1 role since Hill's injury, Matt?
He's been solid, but I don't think he's the player that people thought he was his first couple of years. Like, he's a good wide receiver, no doubt. But even the fact that, I mean, Tyreek is still a very good player, but the fact that he was limiting him so much in the offense with Tyreek was the number 1 read on all of these targets that Waddle is getting now, and he is doing well with them. But he's a solid wide receiver in this league, but he's not what he was drafted to be, I don't think, and paid like.
Yeah, 6th overall draft pick, and hasn't quite hit that alpha level. He still seems like that tier outside the top 15, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like he was his best. I don't think, maybe he's just as good now, but early on he seemed to have more juice.
Yeah.
It was just because prime Tyreek he was next to.
But for this season going forward,
I mean, yeah, he's going to get fed.
Feel good about Jalen Waddle. And then the next guy, these are the only players I feel like to talk about on this team. Devon Achane, he's on pace for 113 targets, which has only been done once since 2021. And 2 running backs had over 100 targets in 2021. That was Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler had 127 and McCaffrey had 108 that year. CMC and Achane both should get to 100 targets. Incredible for PPR running backs.
They love getting him the ball, and there's no reason not. He's pretty dynamic with all of his touches, and he's just a reliable option. Like,
incredible. And he had 87 last year. He's already on pace to beat it. Like, it's crazy how much this team loves. They fed him last year a lot, and now they're even feeding him more, obviously. With the loss of Hill, you have to. Yeah. All right, let's move into the New England Patriots. Maybe the biggest surprise, but honestly, a ton of people's dark horse team this year as well. They were on the fringe for 9 wins by Vegas, and they look like they're on pace to smack that. The reason is this guy, Drake May. Drake May, he's been a road warrior. Absolute demon on the road, stealing people's heart out. He's 7 touchdowns, 0 picks on the road with a 78.4% completion percentage. They're also 4-0 on the road, no losses, obviously. And this season, he has 2+ touchdowns in 7 of 9 games and 3 total touchdowns in 4 of 9 games. That's including rushing, of course. He's also the QB3 in fantasy through 9 weeks and was going outside the top 12 in ADP. What are your thoughts on Drake May this season?
Yeah, he's been super impressive so far. We were both high on Drake May.
Absolutely.
Both in fantasy and on the football field, but he's surpassed all my expectations. For him to be in MVP discussions at this point of his career is just something I didn't see coming at all. He was my number 2 coming out of the draft, and it was him and Caleb, and then I was really the only 2 I were completely sold on. And yeah, Jaden was making me look foolish, but now Drake May is giving him a run for his money.
Yeah, he's making everyone look foolish. He's looking unbelievable this year. Drake May, MVP talks. It's legit this year that he's really a second-year quarterback in MVP talks. And then the other guy is their rookie running back this year, who's been pretty disappointing, I'd say, Travion Henderson. He's had 75 scrimmage yards in his last 2 games, despite failing to reach that in his first 7 games. And amongst the backfield and people who've gotten rushes on the Patriots, he's last in touchdowns, tied with 1 with Terrell Jennings and Gibson's, and he has 60 more touches than both of them. Travion Henderson just can't get in the end zone, but has actually seen a big jump in effectiveness on the field. How do you think about Travion's rookie season?
They're starting to have to rely on him. I mean, Ramondre was out, and he's starting to produce. He ran well these last couple games, but the fact that they went to Terrell Jennings and became a split it all is not encouraging.
Feels so disrespectful.
Yeah, Travion was a preseason superstar. You would think that would have
got him in the good grass.
Yeah, exactly, but he really just hasn't been able to carve out a role. It's not like he's even producing that much to where I can be like, oh my God, how are you keeping this guy on the bench? But
yeah, for sure.
Still feel like he should have more opportunity.
What did he do to one of these coaches, man?
It's not, Ramondre's been up and down, and Terrell Jennings. He had an 11-yard carry and into the touchdown, so good for him. How is it Terrell Jennings?
Yeah.
How is he splitting with him?
And any takeaways for the Patriots going forward? Do you see them as a real contender? Any real chance to make a noise?
They can win a playoff game, maybe two, but I don't think Drake May is winning the Super Bowl or anything just yet. If he gets one before Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, or Lamar, if he even makes one before Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson do, that would blow me. That would shock me. So
yeah,
I don't see that happening.
Definitely not an incredible offensive skill group either.
Yeah, exactly. You could scheme up for them in the playoffs.
All right, stalwarts of the division, the Buffalo Bills. In this Week 9 win over Kansas City, Josh Allen, he had his highest completion percentage game of his entire career with 88.5%, completing 23 of 26 passes. And this has been Josh Allen's most accurate season his entire career. What are your takeaways?
You just hyped him up. I'm gonna bring him down. Josh Allen's PR team is the greatest of all time. The fact that he's in MVP conversations, I know the Bills have a good record.
He's the NBA favorite right now.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the Chiefs, it looked like Mahomes played his worst game, and like you just said, Josh Allen had his greatest completion. They literally had a Hail Mary at a chance to decide the game.
Yeah.
It's just like, at the end of the day, he's not going to get it done, I think, in the post. He easily could, but I don't think this is the team to do it. I feel like this is not their most talented team.
I agree with that.
Like a week ago, people were like, wow, this Bills team, what have they done? And then they beat Kansas City in the regular season, which they usually do, and now we're literally in the same cycle that it's the Bills are the team to beat and Josh Allen's the MVP. Like, how are we here again? Just a week, take us a week back. And
I mean, they did have an electrifying stellar win over the Panthers. They blew them. But back-to-back good performances from Josh help his case.
No doubt. I just had to knock him down a little bit. The glazing is already starting to build too much. Are they number one in their division right now? They can't be.
I don't think they are.
Yeah, they lost to the Patriots, so I don't think they have more than 2 losses.
Yeah, I think the Patriots are still the division favorite.
Like, let's cool it on. How good are the Bills?
And then the other research stat that I dove into was Dalton Kincaid. He just had his second 100-yard game, something that he had never done in his career. And his yards per catch has jumped from 9.2 to 10.2 to 15.2. Yeah, it's sitting at 15.2 through 7 games this season. He missed 1 game to injury. What are your thoughts on Dalton Kincaid's impressive season this year? 2 100-yard games.
Yeah, he's been really impressive. Khalil Shakir's been Khalil Shakir. Keon Coleman's been massively disappointment. So
Huge disappointment.
You can't get any separation. I just said I don't think they're going to make it, but if they are, it's honestly probably going to be because of a player like Dalton Kincaid. James Cook, you know what you're going to get from him, but if you're going to go through probably Kansas City in that game and you're going to need to score points, Dalton Kincaid was huge in this last game, and I think you're going to need him to be huge because I just don't really trust the other eyes in the offense, and they didn't make any other moves.
This kid was a first-round tight end pick.
Yeah, I liked him. He had a really good stretch his rookie year.
Yeah, he had a good stretch, got hurt his second year. I was really high coming into this season for fantasy football.
He's been a smash.
Yeah, he's been a smash. He was going outside like the top 12 tight ends, and he was going as like a top 5 tight end last year. So it was just a really weird disconnect. Nothing had changed for his situation, and he always just injury.
Just a tough production year, but
and injury. He's back to his rookie year self and better. And it's been exciting to see. Another good tight end for our fantasy prospects going forward. That's always been a pretty boring, ugly position. Saving the Jets for last, and that just feels apropos because they're always last.
Yeah.
We'll start with their defense because of the big moves they made. They're currently 7th in rushing yards allowed, giving up 108 rushing yards per game. And that was before trading Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. They're 2 studs. And I went and checked on PFF, and both Sauce and Quinnen Williams were actually their 2 highest graded run defenders. Going forward, I want you to be attacking the fantasy matchups against the Jets rushing game. Look for running backs who are playing them in the playoffs and target those guys. What are your takeaways on this Jets defense.
Yeah, they were already a defensive target when you're looking at matchups. So you lose Quinnen Williams, you lose Sauce Gardner. That kind of makes it clear that the team is, as much as the guys that are on the field are going to go out there and compete, you don't really have the talent. You're a one-win team on a fluke win against the Bengals, and now you lost your two most impactful defenders.
Yeah, should be tough sledding.
If they take a jump, we'll see. That'd be crazy. That'd be one of the crazier things.
Yeah, I'd be so impressed with Aaron Glenn for that. And he's also making another move, benching Quincy Williams.
Yeah,
big changes to that defense. And then the other stat, flipping it back to the offensive side of the ball, one of the few important pieces left on their team and on this offense, that's Breece Hall that I'm talking about. It had been 10 straight weeks for Breece Hall without scoring a rushing touchdown. 10 straight. Dating back to last year, he had to have been so frustrated, man. He had his second multi-touchdown rushing game in Week 8 and his first one since 2023. He also ran for 133 yards in Week 8, his third time hitting a number that high or better. So really big breakout week for Breece Hall, and it kept him on the roster, as despite that there were people vying for him at the trade deadline. What are your thoughts on Breece and this potential rushing attack for the rest of the season?
I don't know if that's what kept him on the roster. I just don't think teams are willing to pay the price. But yeah, it was against the Bengals, so I'm taking it with a grain of salt. The whole offense, Cliff Justin was good. Isaiah Davis was good. Breece, he said he didn't make a trade request, but I feel like he made a trade request. And is he on an expiring contract, right?
Yeah,
they didn't extend him, so I could easily see him just taking it easy this last couple of weeks of the season. You're literally playing for nothing, and
so not the biggest vote of confidence for Breece going forward this fantasy season.
Breece that much. Any Jets I'm worried about right now.
Yeah,
they're really
Garrett's coming back.
He's coming back, but why are they rushing him back for what? I guess they're not rushing. He's probably fine,
yeah, Garrett comes back this week, so we'll see if him and Breece can continue their momentum from Week 8. They're coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
All right, let's head out of this AFC East and into our final AFC division, AFC West. And we'll start with the Chargers. And where else can you start but another rookie tight end? Arondé Gadsden has the most receiving yards over a 4-game stretch for any rookie tight end. First rookie tight end with 4 straight games of 65 plus yards. He's currently PFF's highest receiving grade at tight end. What do you think about this superstar in the making, Antonio Gates?
He's really been impressive. He's just soaking up targets from Justin Herbert and taking away from all the other guys. And I can't blame him for it. I mean, he's been really impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy. 4th round draft pick, I believe. And just what he's been doing as a rookie tight end. This rookie draft class has been incredible at the tight end position. And then also for the Chargers, another thing I researched was obviously we saw that they lost both their starting tackles for the season. Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater was already gone for the year. And that leads to Herbert being pressured at a crazy rate. He's had 165 pressures. That's 30 more than any other quarterback this season. And crazy, Herbert is the leading rushing yards at the quarterback position. Most rushing yards for a quarterback this year. What are your thoughts on Herbert dealing with all this pressure and making waves with his legs this year?
Yeah, Herbert's been an underrated athlete. As soon as Joel went down, I thought he was going to have to run more because they get to him, and the offense just really... it needs something when the pressure's getting to him. He's got the underneath stuff, but the run game really wasn't working. So they count on Herbert to get it done with his legs, honestly.
For sure. And Hampton eyeing their post-bye return. Any real thoughts of the Chargers as a contender going forward, or
not with Slater and Joe Alton? I mean, you brought in Trevor Penning, and that's not going to do much. He's probably better at what they have, but not by much.
Yeah.
So that really sabotaged them.
Can they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they should be able to. Can they make the playoffs, Mr. Justin Herbert? I understand. I'm not killing Justin Herbert if he doesn't win a playoff game this year, but at the same time, you can't put him in the elite conversations then. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but his O-line falls apart. He'll lose in the Super Bowl. This guy can't even win one playoff game his whole career.
Yeah, it's getting tough. It's looking grim for potential playoff even. Maybe they can be the 3rd division team.
Yeah, they could fall out.
Or maybe that the Broncos could have a dip these final few weeks. It'll be interesting to watch. All right, let's move into the Broncos. I want to talk about their wide receivers. And in my research, I found that since week 4, Troy Franklin has actually out-targeted Courtland Sutton 45-41. And Troy Franklin has 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games. Now, these guys had a connection dating back to college. What do you think about Troy Franklin and Bo Nix going forward this season?
Yeah, I like Troy Franklin in Oregon. I thought he was a good player, but I don't know. I'm not too in on the hype as Troy Franklin as a reliable weekly option.
Yeah, I think I disagree. I really think that Troy Franklin can become a weekly flex option for you guys going forward down the stretch.
I mean, low end for sure. I still expect Sutton to be the one. He had a great week last week. I honestly expect him to have a big game tonight against the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders playing the Broncos tonight. This video will be not going out tonight. You guys will already know the results. We won't know who won yet. And then the other stat that I researched was on their rookie running back, RJ Harvey. He has 4 receiving touchdowns, and that's the most by a Broncos running back ever. And he's also scored in 3 straight games through the air now. Really just kind of crazy.
The fact that he hasn't really been able to buy more snaps onto the field with how much he's produced over this stretch. He's not getting more than 30 snap.
Yeah, I don't think he's hit over 40% snap all season once.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's kind of crazy. And he's been very effective in his limited work. But
yeah. If you draft him in fantasy and I told you he's RB22, you'd be like, that's what I kind of drafted him to be, but it's not the path of how you wanted to get there.
Yeah.
He could be a I'm honestly trying to trade for him right now for Quentin Johnson because I need a running back and he has a chance to take that second half leap. He's a rookie and had some big plays, and I don't trust Dobbins completely.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think it was 15 rushes to 2 last week with Dobbins.
Yeah, he had 5 targets and 5
catches. Yeah, it's just very weird how they've been deploying them.
He had no targets, but he did well on the ground.
And he had 1 receiving touchdown. Yeah, because that's what he does.
Yeah, he's been a touchdown machine.
Now let's go into the team they're facing off against tonight, the Las Vegas Raiders. And the tight ends, they've been a constant in this research show. And
Brock is ridiculous.
He's crazy, man. This is a crazy stat, honestly. Brock Bowers is the first tight end in NFL history with 5 10-catch games through their first 22 NFL games. He now has 2 12-reception games and had his first multi-touchdown day, 3 touchdowns in their Week 9 loss. Brock Bowers, where do you start?
I'm not even surprised at all to see him have a stat like that. He's such a unique. All these great tight ends just seem to have their own archetype. He's not the receiver or just the red zone threat of Gronk, but he just does it all. He's just a football player, man. You just get him the ball and he's just gonna make a play.
It's crazy. That was such a good game.
Big, strong, and fast, and got good hands and run good routes, and he just makes plays.
Yeah, Geno
He's gonna be a very good tight end for a long time.
Talked so highly of him. And
Mahomes on bye, and Geno Smith's, you look at his stat logs and you see 3 multiple times this year. So I couldn't go through with him, but I was like, just having Bowers back, no Surtain, it's a divisional game. I kind of wanted to. He had 30 points last week. That's just the Brock Bowers effect right there. I couldn't pull the trigger, but I could see him having another big game just behind Brock's greatness.
Brock Bowers just really sucked to see him out for the weeks he was. He's just incredible to watch on the field, man.
When he's putting up 12 points a game, this guy's got to be injured.
I bought low on him this season, and he's on my team now, and I wasn't even able to win last week despite 40 points from him. It sucks, but it's so good to have him on my roster, and I was a little worried that he might not be able to get back 100% coming off an injury mid-season, but unbelievable. And then the other stat I looked into was for Geno Smith, actually. Pretty disappointing stat for Geno. He has the most interceptions thrown since 2022 with 46 now through Week 9. And that's 4 more than the next closest guy in a game less. Currently, he's at his highest interception percentage since his rookie year, a minimum 2 starts. So
yeah, I was going to say, I bet that has a lot to do with this year right now because he's just...
11.
He's just way ahead of the pack in interceptions. He's always had his turnovers, but this year has been way...
no, he was 15 last year, but his percentage is doubled. It's more than his rookie season, and it's incredible. His rookie, he wasn't seen as some complete prospect, and now he's a super vet and should be way better at taking care of the football. So not a good look.
Seahawks really fleeced one on that, replacing him with Darnold.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how good Darnold's been too. But yeah, Geno Smith, the takeaway is he's just not their guy going forward, unfortunately. That this is a wrong pivot, and they're definitely in the market for a quarterback.
They've got Brock and Genty, so maybe you've got a young quarterback in there's something to build towards.
And now the final team in this division that we're going to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs, last but not least. And we'll start off with none other than Rashee Rice, who's been on an absolute tear. And this stat really stuck out to me. Rashee Rice, he has now had a touchdown or 50 yards in 12 straight regular season games. That's either or. And 80 yards or a touchdown in 7 straight regular season games. Rashee Rice, welcome back to the lineup. What do we think about him?
Yeah, Rashee Rice, he was my guy 2 years ago, heading into last year. I was all in. People take him in like the 6th round. I was in on him in the 3rd round. He has the debilitating knee injury after he was tremendous in those first 3 games. He was everything that I wanted. Yeah. I was a little shaky coming off the knee injury, but the guy hasn't missed a step. Patrick Mahomes loves him.
I think it really helped, like, being suspended. He just had those extra 6 weeks.
You just never know. Like, Brandon Ayuk, I mean, he's just clearly way worse. He hasn't even played yet, so you just never really know with the guy coming off a knee injury, but it hasn't affected him at all. They got him at running back now, so they're not worried about his knee. Every way they can get him the ball, they're trying to do. Last year, it wiped away Travis Kelce. This year, it seems to be just opening things up for him. Worthy's honestly been the one taking a hit.
Yeah,
I just don't love the way Andy's been using him, but that's a different story. But yeah, Rashee Rice is tremendous.
Yeah, Rashee Rice, definitely a top 5 wide receiver for the rest of the season. For everyone who drafted him and held on to him, you guys are feeling amazing.
There's so many bad 4th, 5th, 6th round picks, and Rashee would have just been better than all of those guys.
Yeah. And then the other stat I had has to deal with Patrick Mahomes. He's at a career high in rushing yards per game and attempts per game, 31.7 yards and 5.2 attempts. And he's also the most efficient he's ever been running the football, despite the most volume. Okay, Patrick.
Yeah, he's really, especially early in the season without the weapons, he was getting like 60 yards a game and a touchdown. He's still using them because the running game has been so dreadful, so they still need it, but it's been cooling off a little bit, but he always uses it when he has to, and it's been more this season than ever before.
Yeah, super effective, especially this year.
Always been super effective, but
especially this year. And it's funny, I mean, Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco finally passed him in rushing yards, but they're basically all doing it by committee.
He'll pass Pacheco soon. He'll be back after the bye, potentially.
And then also, this is the 2nd time in Mahomes' career that he's had 4 losses in a 9-week span in his 8 years as a starter. Just think about that. 4 losses in a 9-week span. That's the 2nd time it's ever happened. The man just doesn't lose games.
Yeah, they're tremendous. I'm not worried about them at all.
The last time they had a 4-loss stretch was they were 3-4. Actually, that was the year that they lost to the Bengals.
Worst
but
finish of Patty's.
After their 4th loss, they ripped off 8 wins in a row, I believe. So we could be seeing a lot of victories coming for this Chiefs.
They've got a soft schedule. They had a brutal front half. I'm not worried about them. They'll finish with 12 wins in the division if I had to bet.
Us two here both believe in the Chiefs as contenders going forward completely, even though they're outside of the playoffs right now. Let's finally move into the NFC. We'll kick it off with the North just as we did with the AFC. We'll start it off with the Packers. Now, this was a really interesting to me and just impressive. Josh Jacobs for the Packers has now scored at least 1 touchdown in 16 of his last 17 total games with the Packers. That is something, man. And when he first got there, it seemed like he was struggling to get rushing touchdowns, and now to see that, just crazy.
Yeah, he's been on fire. It seems like, I literally joke about it, it seems like once they get inside the 20-yard line, he just starts running so much harder. He just wants to get in that end zone. And now without Tucker Kraft, they're going to need him.
Sad. Rip Tucker.
Yeah, a huge red zone threat for him, so it should mean more touchdowns for Jake. I mean, Dobbs, they love to in that area, but
16 in 17 total games. That's a whole season.
Yeah, he's literally. I mean, he's had a ton of multi-touchdown games too. So
yeah, but that was at least 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
he's been a machine.
He's just been a machine, and yeah, it's crazy. And he hasn't even been that insane for fantasy this year, but he's just been so steady.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other stat that I pulled was on Christian Watson recently returned. Yeah, my boy.
My boy turned your boy.
Yes, Dr. Watson. Christian Watson averaging 71 yards per game in his first 2 games back from the torn ACL. And the Packers just lost Tucker Kraft, as we mentioned. It's only been 6 catches. But it's 23.8 yards per catch. So
that's the Christian Watson method.
Right now, this season, Wicks has been injured also, and Matt Golden is banged up with his
disappointing in general.
I think he's going to finish with more receptions and yards than Golden easily going forward. The rest of the year, even if you include the weeks that he wasn't there. He's already on Golden's heels, and he's potentially wide receiver 1 over Romeo Doubs, even though Romeo Doubs has been...
Romeo Doubs is his guy, I think, and I like Jaden Reed a lot when he comes. As soon as Jaden Reed is ready to play football, I think he's going to be impactful for this team.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he can do coming back from an in-season injury. I know we just saw Brock return and look completely fine, but he did have to get surgery in 2 different spots.
Yeah, I guess.
So we'll see if they work him back slower and maybe save him more for the playoffs. But Jaden Reed is a good weapon for them nonetheless. But yeah, Christian Watson, he's a guy that I think has the most upside though. I like him going forward for fantasy. I scooped him up on the waiver. All right, let's move into the Chicago Bears. Another rookie tight end.
This one, my guy right here.
Team of the show. My guy too. I love this kid. Colston Loveland, first Bears rookie tight end since Mike Ditka to have 100 yards and multiple touchdowns, and first rookie tight end since 1980 to do so. And he's also the 3rd rookie tight end ever to win Player of the Week. 117 yards, 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, game-winning touchdown. Colston Loveland, show me something, boy.
Yeah, you kept Colston on your fantasy team for about 7 weeks, but you finally dumped him. I had Luther Burden. I said, I think Loveland has the better path to getting on the field just with those receivers.
Yeah.
And it's just kismet. 20 minutes after Tucker Kraft tears his ACL, you see Colston Loveland going 60 yards for the game-winning touchdown. Full breakout season now going forward. I'm hoping and expecting.
Absolutely.
I wanted this from the get-go, but Ben Johnson, he got dinged up.
Yeah, I drafted him in the 9th round of Fantasy Football League this year for our fantasy draft, and I held on to him for a while. Yeah. But I'm fine seeing him flourish. I have him in best ball everywhere, and I love the kid. So good on him. He was my favorite tight end in the class, and hey, Tyler Warren's yet to have an 100-yard receiving game, so shout out Colston. And then, speaking of this wide receiver room, this was a really unique stat that I think I found and probably something no one's talking about. The only wide receiving touchdown for the Bears since week 4 is Olamide Zaccheaus.
Last week, right?
Last week. Yep. And they did have a week 5 bye to keep that in mind, but first receiving touchdown since week 4. And Caleb has 4 passing touchdowns in his last 4 games, which is pretty miserable, 4 in 4 games, but he had 0 in week 7 and 8. So that's pretty much the explanation. And
he caught a pass for a touchdown.
Oh yeah, he also caught a touchdown pass. Yeah, well, of course, that takes away another passing touchdown. And then for his other receiver, Roma Dunze, in week 9, it's his first 0 catch game in his career and his lowest target total since his rookie season.
Yeah, his dad was shouting out that.
Yeah, he needs to be moved, but his dad's tripping. Roma Dunze, that kid plays so hard. He clearly doesn't mind that situation of last game because he was blocking his ass off and just doing all the dirty work.
I get as a father, you want to see your kids succeed, but how are you tweeting that after a win like that?
Yeah, that was like an unbelievable win.
I doubt he's echoing Rome's feelings, but that just makes things so awkward for him. We just had the greatest win in the last 10 years for the Bears, arguably. Yeah. Your dad's tweeting that just in the room.
Yeah, what do you think about this Bears future for the rest of the season?
They're building with Ben Johnson. Good, better, best.
Best.
They see the running game has developed, the O-line, and you just need to keep seeing these baby steps from Caleb. As much as I'm a Caleb guy, I'm not going to say I had a lot of trust in him to come through after that lone game, down 40 seconds left. For him to step up in that moment, you got to give a lot of props.
He's honestly been kind of clutch, low-key this year. He's been a little bit of clutch.
The one game last year, before their season fell apart, he took them down the field, gave them the lead against Jaden Daniels, and then they come down with the Hail Mary. But
this was his chance to get the
if they win that, if they beat Jaden Daniels in that game,
maybe
with the Caleb Will game-winning drive, and that never it's just,
maybe it's a whole different season.
Maybe he doesn't lose his confidence, and now he's got it back. Hopefully,
let's move into our next team, the Minnesota Vikings, and let's start with their wide receiver Jordan Addison, who has as many touchdowns as Justin Jefferson in 3 less games, despite having 18 less targets in those games played together. And Jordan Addison, he's been a touchdown machine in his career with 9 and 10 in his first 2 seasons. What does Jordan Addison's return mean for this Vikings offense?
Yeah, he's huge for the offense, obviously. He's a great football player. It's not concerning for Justin Jefferson. He's a tremendous player, but the fact that he just hasn't been able to get in the end zone this year is, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Shout out Kevin Wilds. Hey, what's going on?
J.J. JJ McCarthy, did you see his he was going viral for post game?
I missed it.
They were in the locker room and he was getting super hyped, locked in, and I have my alter ego 9 when I get on the field. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about, bro?
I think I've actually heard him talk about his alter ego too. Yeah, but
I was like, that's a little interesting.
Yeah, but Justin Jefferson, he's been productive, but he just hasn't scored touchdowns this year, and it's been the biggest detriment to his fantasy success. He's wide receiver 12 with only 2 touchdowns. And
He's
Jordan
never been a high touchdown guy.
But he has seen 10 plus recently in a few seasons, or at least 8 usually. But yeah, Jordan Addison, he's a touchdown machine, and obviously 2 in 5 games is pretty solid. For JJ McCarthy, he was the other person I did some research on. And
Darnold last year, but Darnold was firing.
Yeah, Darnold was cooking last year. He had so many 3 touchdown games. But JJ McCarthy this season, he has an interception in every game and hasn't thrown for over 170 pass yards in any start yet. But despite that,
he's 9.
He has 220. He has 2 20-point fantasy games. Despite that,
just rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, because JJ McCarthy, he also has 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in 2 of 3 games. So that's been where he's been making his mark, getting in the end zone with his legs and throwing a few through the air. And obviously Kevin O'Connell's a good coach.
Yeah, the offense should score points. The rushing touchdowns feel a little bit fluky, and he's just...
Even in Michigan, he was really known for his rushing ability. And
the rushing ability is one thing.
Yeah, rushing touchdowns are always fluky with the quarterback. They haven't been getting great production near the goal line from their running backs, unfortunately.
Yeah, Jordan Mason's been...
Jordan Mason's been an L take for me. I was pretty high on his upside, and their O-line was decimated too this season.
It's not great.
All right. Let's move right into the Lions then, who are coming off a pretty disappointing loss. And I think a lot of it falls on this guy's shoulders, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. In week 9, he was held to his first game without a touchdown versus the Vikings. He had scored a touchdown in every single game of his career against them prior to that. And he just had his worst graded game by PFF since week 14 of his rookie season. Jahmyr Gibbs, just complete off night. And they got to find a way to get that guy back going.
Yeah, he had a bag, but I can't imagine Jahmyr Gibbs was just out there doing the wrong thing on the field out there.
His pass blocking was really poor last week against the Vikings. They were sending constant blitzes at him, making sure that they had a linebacker off to blitz and have a free lane towards him when he was the one in to block. He was just...
Oh, yeah, pass blocking is definitely... Yeah. That's not why he's on the field, but...
Mainly, yeah. But he's got to be better there, or else he's going to start ceding more saps to Montgomery again. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, he has now become one of the league's best touchdown scorers.
I feel like he's been that.
Over the last 3 seasons, he's now tied with Jamar Chase, and he has 41% of Jared Goff's touchdowns this season, 7 of his 17. Amon-Ra, he had 5 and 6 as a rookie, and many people were questioning his ability to take that leap. What have you seen from Amon-Ra's ability to just become a consistent red zone target?
He's just been a monster red zone target the past couple seasons, so that adds up. Yeah,
and going forward for this Lions offense, what are your thoughts on their outlook?
Yeah, it's been a little disappointing.
They lost Ben Johnson, and it has been worse.
Yeah, like you're not getting those David Montgomery. He's taken a step back. Again, I don't think any of these guys are necessarily worse as football players, but if you're not having one of the greatest offenses of all time, which they had been, it's hard to get Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta, Monty, J-Mo, get them all, everybody in, especially with the way Amon-Ra has been getting all these touchdowns. Their offense hasn't been productive. Some of the guys have taken a bit of a back seat.
Yeah, mainly Jameson Williams this year.
And Monty.
Yeah, Monty as well. Does that deter you from any playoff success, or you think they're a strong team?
They're a strong team, but either they needed to beat the Niners on their breakout year, or last year they just got decimated. They still have a really good team and really good players. You can't write them off, but it felt like last year they were on a different level. Yeah. They just got decimated, and Goff had a horrible playoff game.
That wraps up our NFC North, and we'll go right into the South and start off with a team that I've been really enjoying watching this season, and that's the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, he's 5-3 this season, winning 5 out of 6 games and 2 straight road wins for Bryce Young. What are your takeaways on Bryce Young's success?
As 2 Bryce Young supporters,
yes, sir.
He's good at making the right reads, and he can get the ball to his playmakers. He hasn't been the most impressive this season. I can't give him too much flowers for the wins. They did lose 30-0 with Andy Dalton, but again, it's mostly been the Rico Dowdle show that's propelling them to these wins.
Absolutely.
But I don't even know what to make of Bryce, but...
He's definitely tough right now because he's just winning games with pretty pedestrian production.
I usually don't give too much credit to the quarterback. It would be a little hypocritical of me to start giving Bryce this credit just because I like him.
Yeah.
The Panthers, this is a team with no expectations. You give him that credit that they're winning games. Yeah. He's winning games for the Panthers. Good for them.
Yeah, exactly. We obviously have to talk about Rico Dowdle. You mentioned him. He's been really the MVP of this team. Him and Derek Brown on the defensive side of the ball, but strictly offense here, I'm talking. And since week 5, Rico Dowdle, he's averaging 22.5 carries and 130.5 yards per game. And as a starter, it's just been 3 starts. He's averaging 26 carries, 173 yards, and a touchdown. That's what he's averaging as a starter. Yeah. In those 3 games, production, what those yards is, it's 78 carries, 519 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. And he's also added 9 for 95 and a touchdown through the air in those 3 games as well. Just speak on Rico Dowdle and the Gamecock legend that he is.
Shout out Rico Dowdle for this journey into getting him this point in his career. This guy was a committee running back in a bad committee in South Carolina. Not much college production. He was a solid player.
Solid guy.
Solid running back, just like just the Gamecocks have had over the course of the years.
Just a fun player.
There's been players who are like, oh my God, this guy's going to be an NFL player. I'm never saying that about Rico Dowdle. He gets his opportunity in Dallas. He has an impressive year.
He honestly, in Dallas, he started 3rd string at first, like really behind in the depth chart before he got his first role in Dallas. He wasn't even really a legit piece on their roster.
Yeah, he made his way up his chain. Then I'm like, all right, he had his good year in Dallas. This is probably the end of the Rico Dowdle as a starting running back.
Yeah, Dallas gets to see him work every day, and he has 1,000 yards for them with a pretty bad O-line and Dak missing, and they gave up on him.
Yeah, exactly. Chuba Hubbard had a great year last year. I was like, all right, he'll be behind them. I had in the back of my mind that Chuba Hubbard is a workhorse, and he could easily, if he goes down, then Rico Dowdle, he fits in. They're a similar profile. He can do everything that Hubbard can do, and
absolutely,
he'd be a good stash, because I think he'd be a workhorse if anything happened to Hubbard. But the fact that he just takes this job like this and it's 200 yards a game, it feels like it's unbelievable. It's
literally insane. 173 yards per game he's averaging in his 3 starts. Yeah, Chuba Hubbard. This team was happy with his production last year that they paid him early in season, and
Hubbard.
just so confident in Hubbard last year going forward.
Yeah, when they were going back to Hubbard after he came back from injury.
Yeah, they were literally,
like, how could you do that? Because just the hot hands.
And now they went back to Hubbard as the full-time starter just this past week, and he did it again. Yeah, they went back to Dowdle as the starter.
Got the win.
And he's just been incredible, man. And it's just been such an awesome storyline. And if you didn't take him in best ball, you're probably not winning at all. I'll say that. That takes us to our next team. That was a good bit of talk on the Panthers. Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints, going through it quite a bit this year. Just made a quarterback change, moving to Tyler Shuck, their rookie. But I'm going to talk about Alvin Kamara. Really disappointing. These stats really stood out and were eye-popping to me. He has now 5 straight games with under 35 rushing yards. That's never happened in his entire career. He's never had that many consecutive games without rushing for at least 35 yards. Last season, he didn't even have consecutive games under 35 yards once. He also hasn't scored since week 1 this season. And just to throw out there, might as well, Devin Neal is his current backup.
Yeah, I was trying to look at their depth chart just because he hasn't given them anything life, and I could see them like starting to move in another direction just to see what they have. That offense is just gross in general. Yeah, a little bit of a victory lap for you there. You called that one.
Yeah, I was very out on Alvin Kamara heading into this fantasy season. I just felt the touchdowns weren't going to be there, and he's been steadily declining in his receptions, and he's just not the same player he was. But never like to victory lap when it's a player doing poorly. The next research that I did was on Chris Olave. He's on pace for 164 targets, and that was before Rashid Shaheed got traded. And funny enough, Tyler Shuck, in his only start, 9 targets to Shaheed and only 4 to Olave. So just really getting all that target competition out of the way for Olave, who was already on pace for a monster target season. And it's good to see him actually be healthy.
Yeah, they got the Olave Vele stat.
Yeah, so Olave Vele.
They were kind of hyping him up a little bit. I mean, they said that him, Tipton, and some other guy would get more work, but Vele is, they traded like a 4th-round pick for some reason for him, so you might even use him now. Move was just so weird, but now's his time.
Now's his time. 26-year-old rookie, 27
I would pick
sophomore.
him up. if you're that desperate. I mean,
like Saints. I mean, Shaheed had his moments, and he
he's
just had
worth
9 targets.
being rostered. If
Yeah,
you're
he's
in,
worth
like,
being
a 12
rostered.
league.
Yeah, I can see it. It's not a horrible call out. Tavon Valet.
Most teams don't need him, but there's someone out there that should have him on the bench. He's better than one bench guy out
Maybe
there.
a dynasty league. It's worth rostering if he's not already. Let's head into our next team, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I'm going to talk about another rookie player. Seems like a lot of research on the rookies, but this one was on Emeka Egbuka, and this is a bit of a downer. Since his injury, he's failed to clear 60 receiving yards or score a touchdown, and he did that in every single start prior to his injury. Are you worried about Egbuka going forward?
I'm honestly not. The downtime, it happened. He got his bye. He was clearly playing through an injury. I mean, that first game, he was literally like questionable whether he was going to be able to go, and then he played, and then
saw 12 targets in that game, too.
I'm not going to say he was having a fluky start, but some of it was going to regress a little bit. But I still think he's a good asset going forward, especially Evans is out and you don't know what you're getting from Godwin.
And maybe
every week it's just Chris Godwin's not practicing. So.
Yeah, maybe once Godwin and Bucky get back, they can have a bit more productive offense for the playoffs of fantasy as well.
Got Tez Johnson, though, baby.
Yeah, Tez Johnson. He's had a solid few fill-in games. Speaking of all their injuries, after Bucky Irving, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans have all been injured, it's Cade Otton's time to shine. That's when it's his time. When everybody goes down.
Last year.
Same thing. He steps up big time. He's now had 5+ targets and 4 catches in 4 straight games. He's had totals of 40 receiving yards, 51, 65, and 81 in those games. And then he did not see over 4 targets or 25 receiving yards in the first 4 games of the season at all. Now,
Baker seems to go to him when he has to, but Baker needs to step it up back up. I know he's dealing with a lot, but he's definitely come a long way from MVP frontrunner.
Definitely. But still 13 touchdowns to 2 picks, I believe. So
it's been a good season, but
good season.
Shaky games.
Yeah, we'll see if he can rebound after the bye. And now let's move into our final NFC South team, and that's the Atlanta Falcons. This is literally what started my idea for this episode, is this exact statistic. In Drake London's 10 games with Michael Penix, he is averaging 11.6 targets per game on a 17-game pace. That's 197 targets. He has had less than 10 targets with Penix in just 3 of his 10 games. That's insane. Last week, London had his first ever 3-touchdown game, showcasing that he might have another level. His only multi-touchdown games have come with Michael Penix, Drake London. Talk about Drake London's rise to superstardom. Maybe one of the top 5 best receivers in football right now.
Yeah, dating back to last year when we were getting into the Garrett Wilson, Drake London debates, we were on the Drake London debates. Side. Not even just, I mean, they were in the pretty much the same situation, and we just liked the player and Drake London better. This was the first week where I feel like he finally broke through onto that national. He was. The highlight reel was insane. It was hard not to. He's on his way to being a household.
That game.
Yeah, exactly. That's devastating on a kick from Parker Romo. Just same old Falcons. But Drake London. Last year, it was just every time you're in a 3rd and short 2-minute drill, just get it to Drake London. It's more of the same. He was making circus catch after circus catch in that Pats game. Yeah, love to see it from him.
I was blown away. 11.6 targets per game averaging with Penix. Penix loves this man with all his heart. He's definitely a beast.
Yeah, it feels good for London. Not even that Penix is that good, but he was going through it in the early stages of his career at the quarterback play.
Yeah, definitely. And I have Drake London in Dynasty, and man, that feels awesome.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
And then the other superstar that they have, Bijan Robinson, he needs the ball more, man. Yeah. He needs the ball more, especially on the ground. He has now 5 games with under 15 carries this season, which is the same that he had all of last year. He only has 1 game with 20 carries. He had 7 of those last year. And in that game that he had 20 carries this year, he averaged 6.5 yards per rush and had 143 yards in a win. His next highest touch total game, he had 19 touches and he had 170 rushing yards and a touchdown. They also won that game. So what do you think the reason Bijan Robinson just hasn't been getting the same workload that he had last year?
Yeah, I don't know. He was starting to get really involved for a stretch, and he was dominant to start the season.
Yeah, he really was.
You don't want to overwork your young running back. This is also it wasn't at one point, but now it's another losing season. The offense should be funneling between him and Drake London, and then you get some little bit of Mooney and Pitts, and then Algier worked in, but...
I don't know why they're having such a hard time getting him to 20 carries. I think that should just be a consistent basis. I think they can get him to 20 carries pretty easily, and he's good enough, and he's too important not to be given more work going forward. So we'll see if Zach Robinson can start utilizing him more. That was my last takeaway for the NFC South. Let's move right into our division, the NFC East. That's our Giants division. We're Giants fans here, baby. And I'll start with the Dallas Cowboys here. This statistic that I found here for Javonte Williams was pretty incredible to me. Last week marks the 5th game this season he's hit 80 rushing yards. He's done that 5 times total in the rest of his career combined. 54 games. He's been an absolute stud for the Dallas Cowboys, and despite losing Rico Dowdle, Javonte's been a hell of a pickup.
Yeah, especially now. I think Jada Blue's a healthy scratch again, and Miles Sanders out for season, so it's just him back there pretty much. And he's really taking advantage of this. I did not see this coming, but he's slowed off a little bit these last couple of games.
Yeah, just had 80
the Cowboys
rush
offense
yards.
the last 2 games had back-to-back kind of down games against the Cardinals and the Broncos, but yeah, he's been good when they've been rolling, so.
Yeah, he definitely has been good. Has multiple 100-yard rushing games this season. Just a real bright spot for this Dallas offense, who's had a few. Speaking of their other major bright spot, in 6 weeks, George Pickens was able to reach his career high in touchdowns, and Pickens has 6 games with 9+ targets this season. That happened 6 times in 48 career games with Pittsburgh. So Dak clearly loves this guy, and obviously the Lamb injury helped. But unbelievable season from George Pickens, man.
Yeah, he's been really impressive. Last game, I'm not saying he lost them the game, but he had that stupid penalty where he went to hand the ball to the defensive back when they were just starting to come back. He looked really good.
That was a bad loss.
He wasn't really involved too much in that game until the end, but yeah, he was great without CeeDee Lamb. I feel like he should be used more than he has. The offense has really sputtered since Lamb's return.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see them be worse off with CD returning on offense, but it has been that way. Pickens has been a bright spot for this offense, man, and Dak loves him, and it'll be interesting to see if they sign him. Do you think that the Cowboys are interested in paying him?
If you traded for him and he did this for you, I feel like, but I literally never know what Jerry's thinking, so.
Yeah, no one does. All right, Matt, let's move into the Eagles, where Saquon Barkley, he's averaging 65 rushing yards per game. That is 60 yards less than last year's average, and he has just 1 game with a 20+ yard rush. Big regression from Saquon this year. What are your thoughts on Saquon's regression in this Eagles offense?
He's definitely not been the same player he was last season, but he looked good last game against the Giants. Now that could be just getting his lick back against the Giants after that tough game where he had his Amazon Prime documentary debut. Yeah, we'll see if he can build onto that momentum. He said that he doesn't feel that it's the 2,000 yards that's slowing him down, and he still feels fine. We'll see if he can channel his last year self.
Yeah, he's going to be an interesting player to watch for at the end of fantasy seasons. He could be a league winner. Also, the next person I did research on, Dallas Goedert, really eye-popping numbers this year. He is now at 46.67% of the Eagles receiving touchdowns, despite missing a game. He has 7 touchdowns in his 7 games plays, and for his previous 7 touchdowns, it's taken him 29 games to get there. What can we say about Dallas Goedert right now?
Yeah, he's been really good. Usually takes someone being out for him to feast,
for
but
sure.
He's been getting his on almost ahead of A.J. Brown at this point. I mean, Devontae Smith has definitely picked it up of late, but he's just been a rock solid, steady part of this offense.
And any final takeaways with this Eagles offense going forward? I know A.J. Brown finally recovered from his hamstring and should be ready to go this week.
Yeah, they definitely had one of their better offensive games of the season against the Giants. Now that was a revenge game against the Giants, so that could play into it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if they take a little bit of a dip with A.J. Brown getting back. We might get some more turmoil in that locker room.
Yeah, it's not even surprising at all that Saquon had his longest run of the season against the Giants. It's just how that goes. All right, let's move into the Commanders. I was looking into Bill Krosky-Merritt because he hasn't been doing very well the last few weeks. And despite seeing an increase in touches over the past 5 weeks, Bill has 3 straight weeks without reaching 40 rushing yards and 4 consecutive weeks without a touchdown. And Chris Rodriguez had a touchdown and 65 yards rushing last week, so they have the same O-line, so that's the comparison. season. What do you think the backfield is going to look like and shake up to be for the final stretch of the season?
Yeah, I'm not going to say the Bill Krosky experiment is dead because he could technically still turn it on with like a reshape and offense of, I don't know how long Terry's going to be out. I know you got Mariota, and he's a rookie running back, but it's been rough. It's been rough for the Commanders as a whole. If you want to see a season from hell, I think no team would fit that bill more than this team. Yeah. You're in the NFC Championship game, and now you're getting flashbacks to RG3 almost with this Jaden Daniels late game injury. So
yeah, the injury news is definitely terrible with Jaden Daniels getting his elbow hurt, and you hate to see players go down, especially when they're star quarterbacks. The research I found on Terry McLaurin this year, he held out for his contract, and unfortunately, it's been his worst season after holding out. He's played in just 4 of 9 games this season and will probably miss the 1,000-yard mark for the first time since his rookie year.
Yeah, I just feel like he's barely even played. Yeah, he's had only 4-9 games, and I think some of those were with Mariota, so he's just not been able to put together any type of rhythm, and just a brutal year for Terry.
Yeah, he's actually not even looked terrible in the games, and then his best game back, I think he had a touchdown in that game too. He got hurt again.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
So it's just been a really tough year for the NFC East with injuries. All right, Matt. And now actually with the Giants, we actually have some good news here. Jackson Dart, he has a passing touchdown or rushing touchdown in every start, and he scored a touchdown rushing in 4 straight games. He's now the QB3 in fantasy since becoming a starter. He's also thrown only 2 passing touchdowns to wide receivers, one of them Gunnar Olszewski. Get that man some wide receiver help, and Malik Neighbors back as soon as possible. What are your thoughts on Jackson Dart's surprisingly solid season?
Yeah, Dart was looking really good, and then in the Broncos game, until that point, in quality football time, in the Eagles game, we were in it for a little bit, but it's been a lot of garbage time, and that he's been getting these rushing touchdowns and late touchdowns in. Yeah, he's looked really good this year, so I've got no complaints, and when we'll get our weapons back next year.
Yeah, some of his best passes, honestly, have even come on penalties and drops this season. He's really had some really nice plays. I've been really impressed with Jackson Dart, and he's been one of the few bright spots in a pretty treacherous season. Speaking about that bad season, focusing on our defensive stats, the Giants have the worst run defense by yards allowed per carry. 5.9 yards per carry to running backs. And we are also second in yards allowed. Only one team has more yards given up to the ground, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals right now. The playoff matchups that the Giants are facing, week 15, we verse the Commanders. That's Bill or Chris Rodriguez potentially. And then week 16, they play the Vikings, Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones. And then in week 18, they got the Raiders and Genty. Genty could be a superstar fantasy championship week matchup against the Giants' poor rushing defense. Any final thoughts on the Giants season?
I think the collapse to Denver really just ended the season, and then add the injury to Scat on top of that, and that really just sucked the life out of this team. I don't know how many more wins we've got on the schedule.
Absolutely. That really was what got me in a rut too, man. That loss to the Broncos drained my heart for wanting to do research into football and my love for this season. I was actually starting to have hope again for the Giants, and it's like every other year. Let's move into the final division and finally wrap this thing up, huh? The 49ers, let's get into it with them. The first stat I looked into was for Christian McCaffrey. This was a kind of crazy stat I saw. It was really shocking to me. He has 4 30-touch games this season. He didn't have a single one until the Super Bowl in 2023, and just one in the regular season dating back to 2021. That's 30 touches. He's on pace for 151 targets, which would break his previous from 2019 140 something he had with Carolina. So just a crazy season for Christian McCaffrey. Touches and the receiving work. He's obviously, I knew he was good, and if he stayed healthy, he was going to be great. This season has been fantasy superstar.
I mean, yeah, he's certainly been a fantasy superstar, but I don't think he's near the same Christian McCaffrey. I feel like he's feasting mostly on this insane amount of volume that they're giving, and he's holding up right now, and I hope he continues to hold up, but it's hard. 20 carries is just a lot. Like 25 touches a game he's getting at this point. It's just ridiculous. And
yeah, it's so many touches. And that's what I was worried about early, was he was going to have to take on that big workload with all the injuries and the loss of Jordan Mason, but it just hasn't seemed to matter. And obviously it's the biggest factor in his success for this season. And then also just a funny little unique stat. Brian Robinson This was the first time in his career last week against the Giants where he had minimum 5 carries and he averaged 10 plus yards per carry in a game. And he also scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he looked good against us.
Yeah, first game of the season where he really showed some juice.
Yeah, exactly.
He ran hard as heck through one of our players, Deontay Banks. And
not too impressive.
Not too impressive, but he made him look like a fool. Brian Robinson, he could be, I don't know, maybe a stash. For the 49ers, they've kind of been getting by, and they have a bunch of guys hopefully coming back from injury that might help their offense at least.
Yeah. Not
big
losses
losses on
defense.
Yeah.
I don't. They might be a little fool's gold, but they're staying afloat with Mac.
Yeah,
Kyle Shanahan's just gonna get them wins.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan does a great job getting them wins, absolutely. And Brock Purdy, he's a big question mark, honestly. His toe, I don't know if he'll be right for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're kind of just playing it safe because they've been getting what they need out of Mac at that position.
Mac attack. McCorkle. Good for you, Mac Jones. All right, let's get into the Rams. We have to talk about Matt Stafford. It's been unbelievable this year. When I was researching him, I was just like, what's going on right now? 21 touchdowns through 8 games, has him on pace for 44 touchdowns. That would be his most touchdown passes in a single season. He would be tied for the most 40 touchdown seasons at 3 with Aaron Rodgers if he gets there. And he'd be tied with Peyton Manning for the oldest quarterback to have 40 passing touchdowns at the age of 37. He would actually be older than Peyton Manning because he's a month older at 37 if they were the same age. February and March were their birthdays. I was looking because I just wanted to say. He also has 4 3+ passing games, something he hasn't done since 2021, the year he won the Super Bowl. So look out, maybe Matthew Stafford this playoffs run. Any thoughts on Matt Stafford's unbelievable year?
Yeah, he's been absolutely unreal. I mean, he came into this offseason with the back injury.
Max.
That was seemed like that might have just been him not wanting to do training camp as much. And
looks that way.
He's always been a known talent, and then he got the Super Bowl. If he was able to get an MVP, which he's in the discussion at this point, that would really solidify his Hall of Fame case. But the reason his touchdowns, I mean, they're just inside the 10 and the 5 are just passing Devontae Adams a lot. He's getting so many. I was a little down on Kyron because I was worried. I mean, Kyron's still been good, but he hasn't been the same. And that's a lot because Devontae Adams is getting a lot of those red zone touches that Kyron lived off of.
Yeah, and Matt Stafford, in his career, he's typically known as a high interception guy. And this year, he's kind of not thrown that many at all. Been pretty impressive keeping the ball clean. And then the other research I wanted to do is because Devontae Adams, he's such a known commodity, but he's an older guy at this point. So when I was looking, Devontae Adams has 2 multiple touchdown games this season, back-to-back actually weeks. And it's something he hasn't done since 2022. And he hadn't had a 3 touchdown game since 2020 with Rodgers. And he did that week 8 this year. So really great connection. It's clearly paying it off with him and Matt Stafford, that connection. Sean McVay saw Adams on the market and moved off Kupp immediately.
Yeah, that was definitely the right move. Cooper Kupp definitely does not have nearly the juice that Adams had.
Absolutely. And Cooper Kupp's banged up again this season. And speaking of Kupp, let's move right into Seattle. He plays for them now, but not really. Sam Darnold, he's the guy that I want to talk, and I guess it's the quarterbacks that I want to talk to mainly in this division. Sam Darnold, he's thrown for 290 plus yards in 4 out of 8 games this season. He did that 4 times with the Vikings last year. That's crazy. And he's also 4-0 on the road this year, just like Drake May, a road warrior, averaging 290 passing yards on the road. And that's compared to 230 at home. You're supposed to be Lumen Field bringing the energy, and they're supposed to be the 12th man. Their only losses have been at home.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Kind of weird, but yeah, Sam Darnold having an absolutely incredible year, like fringe MVP conversations again.
Yeah, Darnold's been really good. It's not like he's doing it with a ton of weapons. I mean, obviously JSN's been tremendous. He's averaging 120 yards a game basically. Yes. But outside of that, the run game's been pretty disappointing. Torrey Horton's flashed, but Cooper Kupp was not a signing. I mean, they've gotten good production from the tight ends, but it's not like a spectacular offense. And Darnold's lighting it up and showing that he was able to take what he learned with Shanahan and then Kevin O'Connell, and now he's legit. Yeah, hats off to him. I was calling him the pumpkin last year, but I don't think he needs that nickname anymore.
And also, another good offensive coordinator here in Seattle, Kubiak, I believe. Mm-hmm. I like him as a coordinator. And speaking of JSN, I had to look into his numbers and what his all-time historical level was like tracking to be. And right now, JSN, he's averaging, like Matt said, 118 and a half yards per game. Not quite 120 yet, but he could get there. And that would be 6th all-time in a season if he continues. And he's yet to have a game under 79 receiving yards. And he has 120 plus yards in 5 of his 8 games this season. Just an absolutely incredible season from him. Ohio State wide receivers are continually producing in this league, and he's just another one that you add on the list. JSN, you touched on him, but do you want to go into more detail?
Him and Darnold's connection has just been ridiculous and should keep going.
Yeah.
Add Shaheen, now you got to take away over the top. So
yeah, for sure. Another dimension to this offense. I really like Seattle as kind of a dark horse. Finally, Arizona. They just got a pretty solid win over the Cowboys. And this guy, Trey McBride, he's been popping off this year. He has 5 touchdowns in 8 games and is now one off tying his 6 career touchdowns from his first 3 seasons over 49 games. He had 6 touchdowns in his first 49 games, and now he is 5 and 8.
I wonder where the correlation is there. I tried to tell everyone
Jakobi
that Jakobi Brissett was an upgrade over Kyler Murray because he can see when Trey McBride's wide open in the end zone.
Yes, sir. And Jakobi Brissett, he has already as many passing touchdowns as Kyler does in his 3 games, and Kyler had 5 games played.
Kyler was once a really good quarterback, but he's a couple injuries removed from that. And with his height and not having the out-of-the-world athleticism that he came into the league with, he is a really bad quarterback, honestly.
Yeah, and he honestly has...
Maybe he can do something with the change of scenery, because that seemed like everyone can, but he's been there for like 7 years, maybe... I think 7 years, something like that. And
yeah, probably coming
0
up
playoff wins.
He's definitely the same year as Daniel Jones.
Like 7 years and 0 playoff wins. They had the one time. They started off like 11-0 that one year, but that's a long time ago. They got smacked by the Rams in the playoffs.
They definitely got smacked in that playoff game, and
now you see Brissett just coming in easily. And I mean, he lit up Dallas, but
yeah, and also Kyler, they ruled him out an additional 4 weeks for this foot, and he could miss the rest of the year. It's not off the table, in my opinion, especially if Brissett continues this connection with Marvin and Trey.
Yeah,
Marvin had a good game.
Him and Tua's time might be coming to an end.
Yeah, the short
Kings.
The short Kings.
Bryce is holding down the fort.
Yeah, hopefully Bryce can continue his greatness. He's look good. All right, so that wraps up episode 15 of Below the Surface. We went team by team, found some pretty wild stats, some surprising storylines, and talked about some guys who might have good narratives going forward in fantasy for the second half of the season. Matt, I appreciate you hopping on. It's always good to have a second set of eyes, or in this case, a second football brain to talk football with. That's what it's all about, finding these hidden edges.
Yes, sir.
If you guys enjoyed the video, remember, hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment with your favorite stat that I shouted out, or any crazy stats that you guys have. We got more coming soon now that I'm rejuvenated. So thanks for watching, and maybe you'll see Matt here again soon. Peace out, guys.